Weiß jemand, wie ich den Namen irgendwie reinschreiben kann? Das habe ich noch nicht rausgefunden. Ups.
Ah,
Ich weiß es nicht.
Da oben steht ich, aber das hilft mir ja wenig. Ach da, jetzt habe ich es gefunden.
yes, I see all the names though. Okay, I guess. All right. I started the recording already. So. All right. So, shall we start or?
Well, I still expect 2 more people.
Okay. Yeah, I also expect.
Probably it's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, we can still wait a bit. So, can everybody see the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw it, yes.
So when
right now I don't see it.
Yeah, so when you toggle these four little squares, if you click on that, then I think, oh no, I don't see it as well. Let me see.
The speaker, I see the speaker.
Yeah, so let me see what's going on. Perhaps I need to select it again. Yeah.
Yes, let me see it.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
And I see an Ellen that wants to participate. Oh, it's getting busy.
Works.
Yeah, let's just start. You know, I'm also expecting some people, but they're not here yet. So. Rob, do you agree?
Yeah, let's start. It's I also expect nog one, but let's just kick off.
Yeah. I don't see all the people. Some screens are sort of muted, but I don't know. Okay. So welcome everybody. So the initiative was actually at Rob. So Rob started to create this agenda, and I think the response is quite good for a first one. So this was sort of as a reaction to the book and to the groups that I created on Telegram and on WhatsApp. But we noticed that just writing a book doesn't seem to be enough, and I also agree that you know, when I talk to people, it's easier to explain what's going on, and you notice that when you talk to people directly, that it's you get a better connection and you get more sort of involvement than on the Telegram and WhatsApp groups, which are sort of very static. and one most of the time in one direction. So that's why we decided to create this meeting. Perhaps Rob, you can go through the points. I think that is easier.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm
Yes.
talking all the way. That is not the intention. I think the intention is that everybody, because we would like to know what other people think. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you scroll a little bit down to, I'm double. No. Okay. We have to scroll up a little bit to complete to the beginning. Yeah. Because okay. So let me first introduce myself. At the moment I'm. We are in. I'm in. The reason that I was, let's say, initiating this meeting and setting up the agenda, that I had the feeling over the last year that I was pushing, let's say, a lot to other people also on internet, but for the moment I had very little or zero response. So I was actually asking myself, how can I promote this initiative, as I still believe that this is absolutely great, having ethical money under the sometimes I had discussions also in different meaning or in different perspective. So I thought, okay, maybe we all have different expectations or different meanings. So it would be good to have a sort of common understanding what actually Teun wants to do with this, steps that we can do to bring it, let's say, wider in the world. So that's the reason that I took the initiative to get this agenda on the paper. Excuse me for my voice. So we will definitely be then agenda. That's also the purpose of this meeting. My biggest, let's say, aim is to get you all better who you are, what the intention is.
Yeah. So your voice gets scrambled a bit. I think the bandwidth is a bit of an issue.
And then, well, your voice is not scrambled, Teun.
Sorry? No, your voice is. At my place, at least. I don't know if other people also have that problem.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. So perhaps can you repeat the last sentence that you said?
Yes. So receive, but let's say I created this agenda not with the intention to go through the whole agenda, but to get
I can't hear you. So I don't know if other people can hear you, but I can't hear you. So I think perhaps if I don't know if everybody can hear me, perhaps people can put a thumb up if they can hear me.
Voice breaking.
So
okay, Teun, then I give the word to you. If I am no longer, if my audio is going to break down, then I give the word to you.
Yeah.
And to start with the first, with the first point of the agenda.
Yeah. Well, I can hear you pretty well now, but before that it was quite scrambled at my place. So, yeah, I think what we would like to know is how good people understand the concept that we are sort of promoting. So we would actually want to hear from you, and we can sort of in by doing that explain which steps that we did in the last few years. Perhaps I can give a short introduction of myself. It would be nice if everybody could also give an introduction of themselves so that we know who is sort of taking part of this podcast, of the Zoom meeting, how you call it, and then we can take it from there. So I think you can also raise a hand in Jitsi. So if you have a question, you can raise a hand, and then you can put your microphone on and ask the question. I think today is just for meeting each other, so introducing each other to each other, and getting some basic questions. But let me first start with what it is that we do. So I am, let's say, the creator of OneCoin per hour. For what it's worth, I started to look at the financial system like 8 years ago, and I created this system which looks quite similar in the meantime to what Circles is doing, and what Money Libre is doing, and what Credido from Germany also is doing. So if you look at let's say the problems in the world and all the agenda that are going on, everything seems to be tied to the financial system, and getting a more ethical or a way more ethical financial system seems to be sort of the way to go. Only the big problem is how do you implement that, which is almost impossible. And after a few years of looking, I came to the conclusion that it is not wise to start pushing or start using an alternative financial system now, because it will very likely fail. And when it fails, you will be an example to others to not thinking about alternatives anymore, which would be a shame. So a year ago, I came to that conclusion, and I said, okay, we need to find another strategy, and the strategy should be that we first convince other people about, or educate them what is going on, why the system that we are in is not normal, and how we could create another world which would be much better. And that could be a world where everybody lives in abundance, where we can use the abundance that is available, because the financial system that we have now is sort of set up that everything is scarce and becomes more scarce every day, because scarcity creates power for the people that are able to create money out of thin air. And as long as we are in that system, we have an issue. And if you want to fight that system, you will probably lose, or because these people have way more methods than the rest of us to change things, to make things forbidden or illegal, and to put people in jail and what have you. So the idea is that we try to first put, I call it a dot on the horizon. So what should be this? How should a society look like that is fair and ethical? And first, before we change anything, talk to other people and convince them that this other world is possible, and should be something we all should aim for, without fighting the system without a plan. Because when you fight the system without a plan, it will be just end in tears. So that's why I came up with my book. It's called Abundomy. Abundomy is like a combination between economy and abundance. So instead of having economy, what already implies that things are scarce, so we need to be economic about things. Abundomy is like the opposite, that there is enough for everybody, and we should create a system that everybody can enjoy as much as things as possible. And that doesn't need to be material things, that can also be art or music or anything. But at this moment, anything is being made scarce, and my book explains how they do that and how you could change this, and what would happen when we change that. And I think the biggest difference between what I'm doing and what other people, let's say, that are in politics and also want to have change are doing, is that I don't believe in incremental steps. I think that it's all about awareness and creating awareness about another world. And when we have enough people, that we then will sort of shift in a very short time, which could be a few months or even a few weeks, that we shift from this system, we just leave it and go to another system. Instead of trying incremental steps, that because the system is sort of geared up to push back on any incremental steps, because they are the ones that allow incremental steps, and they know exactly how to deal with incremental steps if they become too much of a pain to the system. So that is my book about, and yeah, the book is going quite well. I think there are already a few thousand copies now in circulation, people reading it. We're getting nice responses about it, and this is sort of a time to start talking directly to people that have read the book. So myself, I'm a construction engineer, but also a programmer and also an economist. So I do a lot of things in my life. I've worked a lot with banks and real estate and lawyers and doing big projects. And that's when I also saw that banks are not playing according to the rules of economics. So there are other agendas. I saw banks destroying companies and people, and I didn't like the game, and that's why I moved to Africa to try to build affordable houses for people. That is sort of my goal in Africa. But while I was doing that, I noticed that there was no support from the United Nations or UN Habitat to change anything positive. And that's where that was the time that I started to look into the system, and which led to creating another financial system and the book that I wrote in the end. So, but that's me. So my name is Teun, and I'm very happy to see such a massive crowd, because I'm quite impressed, I must say. Thank you. So perhaps Rob, you can take it from there, and then we just go round like this.
Yeah, well, I did already a short introduction for myself, so I would like to give the word then to Dianne, sorry. Dianne, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, you need to put on the microphone. Oh.
You are still muted.
You need to put on the microphone, yes.
You need to unmute, yeah.
Yes, unmuted, I think. My name is Dianne, living in Delft in the Netherlands, and following Teun's good work for some years now. I participated in one of the first tryouts with the system on our mobiles. I'm very happy with the book you published, Teun. I spread it all around. Unfortunately, not much positive reaction, which means people are not reading the book or laying it down for some time later. But I'm very pleased with the progress you made under very difficult circumstances. Not many people joining you in the programming world, I believe. But still a fierce supporter of this project.
Good.
Thank you, Dianne. then my next one, I go, let's say, in the sequence what I see on my screen. So there is no further logic behind this. Thank you, Dianne. Ellen, welcome.
Yes, hello, I'm Ellen from the Netherlands, Hagestein. I follow Teun a couple of years now. I enjoy this website, 1 coin per hour. And I tried it and I listened to the podcast, very interested. I share it with my family. I still have to read the book, but I'm very proud of what Teun has already achieved. And I hope it will rapidly spread out what is possible, what he is making and telling us and learning us. Yes, that's me.
Okay, thank you very much. Frans, you are the next in line.
Ja.
Frans, yeah.
Frans van Wegelen, Netherlands. I've been following 1 coin per hour for some time now. From the interest of leaving the present system of greed and fear. And it takes a lot of things to leave a system as thorough as that. One of the main issues is always the money. So it's an important issue. And that means also get rid of scarcity. And I found one great example of scarcity. It doesn't get more scarce than that. I'm also interested in regional economies, setting up different systems, getting away from the main systems that are now. And I always hope to connect all sorts of initiatives. And the source of money should be ethical. So that's why I'm in. That's about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Frans. Then I follow the sequence of mine, and that is Irmi. Or if I mispronounce, I apologize.
Irmi, it's your place.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
I'm from Germany, and Rainer invited me for this meeting, and I'm also like Rainer and Bell, and I don't know if Heidrun and Lydia is also here. We are in a group named NEO, and yeah, with this thema, my English is not very good. This thema, this money is, I get in contact the first time more or less, but I'm very interested in, because I think it's a key of all this bad things that happening now. And if we can find a way out of this system, I think it's a solution. Good.
Yes. Okay, so thank you.
You're welcome.
My next line is, I have to skip it a little bit. That is Johan or Jean. Johan, you are muted. Johan is still muted. Then let's go to Lydia.
Okay, I'm Lydia. I'm also from Germany, and Irmi said we are in the same group. So I think the monetary system is doomed to fail, and we need fair system, a human system. So I think that's why we are interested in take part in this Zoom meeting to get some news. What's your idea of doing something like this? And we will see and hope it helps for all of us.
Yes, thank you. Marion, good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
You can hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I'm living since 15 years in France. And our goal was to live a self-sufficient life, which is very difficult, we found. But in that way, we are very active socially. And I found after the pandemic period, my eyes were really opened. I always thought the world was a bit strange in a way. But then I found Teun with his 1 coin per hour, because I was also in Monnaie Libre. I'm very active in that one. And after that was Copiania, and after that it was World of Abundance. So I'm very interested by the idea, because it says we don't have to fight the system, but we can make our own system in our heads, and someday perhaps we can put it in reality. And I'm very active here in a group. We do a lot of things about medical, food, things like that, even water, energy, things like that. And I hope to have get some ideas from you all, how we can make it bigger, how you say it, this group, the people who can have Abundomy in their surrounding. So that's my little story.
Okay, thank you so much. Then the next one in my line is Rainer. Good evening.
Good evening. Here's Rainer. I'm also from southern Germany, and I'm actively cooperating in a number of groups. My profession is I'm a composer, and I'm very interested in the whole system, in all different aspects of how life can be organized in a society. And so I'm also following Silvio Xell's ideas, and also I'm very much in teaching subjects and artistic subjects. And I think that it's very important to create groups that are based on trust and that really can practice this different kind of coming together. So what's that? Freiwilligkeit. If you don't have to pay, but it is something you can do, and you can be sure that it is appreciated what you do. This kind of spirit, I think, to establish it in a group or in a regional group is a very important thing, and maybe I can try to help a bit. So that's my part.
Okay, thank you, Rainer. My next in line is Belle.
Yes, hello. I'm also from Germany, invited by Rainer, and I'm single. I have 6 children and want to a better world. And we're looking for.
Bell, du bist ganz leise. Man versteht dich kaum, als wäre dein Mikrofon zugedeckt oder so.
Okay.
Probier's.
Einfach näher hingehen. Bell, einfach näher hingehen.
I think she tries another component. combined solution with a different audio. We'll just see.
Oh, okay. Then I would like to skip for the moment. We come back, and I will give the word to Stephanie. You are muted. Stephanie, you are still muted.
Maybe she's not.
Seems she's not available right now.
Looks like. Then Willem Hein. Good evening.
Good evening. Let me unmute. It was in September 22 when I made contact with Teun. It was an impressive audio talk, and I noticed already that I had quite some catch up to do. Although I was programming as a software engineer for quite some time for a bank at that time, I had to make some steps. I left that bank, and many things to learn for me. I'm very impressed by the initiatives Teun shows and the work he puts in writing the book. I did read the book and had very small comments, and I shared them with Teun. I know it's a pretty big task that lays in front of us, but I strongly believe in widening our scope of awareness and consciousness, and that will enable all of us to make small steps. And if we make small steps all together, and if that's in a logic and natural way, if abundancy is the logic and natural way, then that moment will happen, that things change, and that there will be large crowds of people that will demand for that change. But it all starts with small steps. I give it back to Rob. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Then I will give the word again to Stephanie, unmuted this time. You are unmuted, but we still don't hear you. At least I don't hear you. No, and it's frozen. Okay, so let's try again later. Raul, can you introduce yourself? Raul, you are muted.
Yes, I'm unmuted now. Hello, I'm Raul. I'm from Romania. I'm a friend of Rob's, and very soon we'll be neighbors, hopefully. First of all, Teun, I'd like to congratulate and thank you for everything you've done so far, and we all understand how difficult is this is your endeavor in this direction of finding a financial liberty, which is essential in our times. And what can I say? Basically I'm an engineer and a mechanical engineer, and I also graduated a 5-year MBA program in the UK and some alternative courses of biosemiotics, permaculture, which probably will be useful in the future, because we will not be only a financial community. This will extend to something larger, which will bring to also to food independence and other important issues that we have to focus on. Glad to meet you again, and all the best. Success in everything you do, and all together.
Okay, thank you, Raul. Then I try with Elisabeth. Elisabeth was jumping. Elisabeth, you are muted.
Oh, unmute.
Now you are on.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, you are good. We can hear you.
Oh, all right. I did help Teun in the beginning with testing the app, and I know him from that. And I follow him. It's very interesting, and I don't know if I can do anything at all, but I'm just curious what you do and what you say. And I like the ideas of Abundomy. And I personally think the time is not ripe for such a society. But I think the development of the ideas is important. So that's what I can say.
Yes. Then thank you very much. Yes.
Rob, ganz kurz. The Belle Weidmann, she wrote into the chat, she's a singer and mother of six children in Germany, and she wanted to help to get a better world. That was her intention.
I see it. Yes. Thank you, Reiner, for pointing this out. Stephanie, can we make the next attempt?
She also wrote on the chat.
Yeah.
Soll ich es vorlesen? Shall I read it to
No,
you?
no, yes, please.
Stephanie writes, I am Stephanie from Munich in Germany. Rainer invited me a few years ago. I was in touch with Gradido. I am still wishing that we do steps in a new economic and social direction.
Yes. So that's clear. Thank you so much. On my list, I have Johan. Johan, good evening. You are muted at the moment.
And yes.
Then maybe later.
He says yes.
Yes.
Now that's a very nice introduction. Thank you very much.
Maybe we should tell him to go to that pop-up list and click on the left sign on the microphone to unmute it again. Maybe he doesn't know. I don't know.
Yes, Johan, there is a mute and unmute button. That is the first button on the left.
Yes, but you must scroll.
Scroll down, Johan. Scroll down.
Yeah. You must scroll in the. Yeah, isn't this below Leiste?
In the bar, in the
bar,
the
yes.
low bar, there is a bar.
Below, yes.
In the bottom of the screen.
No, it doesn't seem to.
He tells he's Johan from Frisian. He writes in the chat.
From Friesland. Friesland Poppen or something. Okay, welcome. The last on my list, I think that is Sabine.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, okay. Rainer invited me to come here. I only read his message yesterday and evening, and so I could not really, I did not have very much time to listen to your discussion. But I had a short look on your book, and I think it's a very deep dive, and it's a very interesting, wie sagt man, Draw-Entwurf, weiß ich jetzt nicht. I am together with Rainer in the Basispartei. I live close to Munich. And I think we are on the threshold between the old system and the new system. The old is still, how shall I say, keeping us a little down or having a hold on us. And the new system is, well, sort of, how shall I say, hard to say. But I know there are very many people having ideas like that and having many alternative ideas. For example, I wrote in the comments, do you know Dr. Frans Hörmann? He is from Austria. He is an expert on, was heißt denn Buchhaltung in Englisch? Weiß ich jetzt nicht. Buchhaltung fällt mir jetzt nicht ein. What the banks do, and he knows very well how the banks work and stuff like that. But he also has other ideas, and he is taking a very close look to the idea of Nesara Gesara. I don't know if you have heard of it. And there is another engineer in Germany. Unfortunately, I don't know his name right now. I often have trouble getting the names in my head. He wrote several books also, and he is building Dörfer. Was heißt ein Dorf? Fällt mir jetzt gerade nicht ein. He's building villages and trying to make these villages independent. Also in terms of energy, in terms of helping to each other. He is a very good guy. Unfortunately, when his name comes to my mind, I will write it. Yes, Ralf Otterpohl. Danke, Stefanie. Genau, ja, Ralf Otterpohl. Der ist auch sehr gut, und ich glaube, dass the international networking is, I think, very important. And of course, I would like to know more about your Rwanda experiences, Teun. How is it to realize projects in Rwanda? Is it easier than it is in Europe? What is it like? I would like to know.
Yeah, to me it's quite easy actually. Well, I think life in Rwanda is in general more easy than in Europe. Less rules, more easygoing. So, and I think even when people are poor in, let's say, in our Western sense, they are still more happy than most of the people in Europe are. So I think Africa is quite a positive experience for me. I like it a lot. I don't want to go back, basically.
Is it because of the climate? I often think why are they more happy? Is it because it's warm there, or what is it? What is it?
No, I think it is the sense of community that is just way better. So
Okay. Yes.
let's say part of the people here are Muslim, let's say 30% or 20 even, and most of them are Christian, but it just works together. So if I am in a group that goes hiking in the mountains every Sunday, and then one day we go eat with Muslims, and the other day we go eat with Christians, and everybody sort of take cares of each other. If you're struggling, other people will help you, things like that. So all these little things that are sort of normal, that you don't see that are hardly see in Europe anymore. Where everybody's sort of on his own in his car, driving to his job and doing his thing. And of course you have your friends, but still the sense of really helping and really caring for each other is a bit gone, I think, in Europe. And that's what I really miss in Europe, and what I really like here. So, and that's not only in Rwanda, it's also in Nigeria. I lived 7 years in Nigeria, a few years in what is it? I'm forgetting now. In Ghana, also 2 years in Ghana, and it's yeah, to me it's like a treat. Life in Nigeria is quite rough compared to Rwanda. Rwanda is more a police state, but because of that, it's very safe. It's extremely safe. So you can walk in the middle of the night anywhere, any place, with a laptop under your arms, and nothing will happen to you. And that's different in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, I always walk with 2 soldiers and two policemen around me, just to be safe, which was sort of necessary. So yeah, but still in Nigeria, you can also see people taking care of each other, and also that crime is not sort of among each other, but more against, let's say, foreigners and people that they don't really know, things like that. But yeah, but you can also see very well in Africa how, let's say, scarcity is sort of pushed on the people here. So everything is taken away from them, basically, which is a crime. So
what do you mean everything is being taken away from them? What does it mean?
No, let's say natural resources, jobs. It's very difficult for people to find a job, so they're really struggling, and you can see people doing jobs that nobody would do, let's say in Europe. Yeah, just to make, let's say, if $1 a day or $2 a day, the amount of work that they do, which is amazing. So I people say that African people are lazy, but I've worked in construction, and if you see how these people work, like it's unbelievable, like 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to get by, and you can't bring them down. It's unbelievable. While in Europe, everybody complains if they have a headache or whatever. It doesn't.
But if people have to work so hard and so long to even make a living, how does it come they still have time to help each other? How do they do that? I mean,
Well, they just do, So
yeah.
I've seen it in Nigeria. So I saw people that have hardly food, really can't have really struggling to buy food, and really struggling, and then they see somebody that is ill or doesn't have food, and they still give them their food, So it's like that's really unbelievable, and so it's sort of ingrained, because you can be next. So if you don't take care of the others won't take care of you, and you could be next. So it's a way of survival. So and I think that's also why people why they try to put people in small houses and let's say in Europe to separate people and to put them in small pods, because you know once that happens, if you don't have any let's say social fabric in your society anymore, then you are very easy to be controlled. But in Africa, people can let's say it's I saw it happening when they tried to remove the cash from Nigeria. So there was like a period in a few weeks they say, okay, we're gonna remove like 80% of all cash from Nigeria. And when let's say in the final days you got big gangs with machetes and just going around and making sure they get what they want. And then let's say the legislation was returned because you can't sort of fight these people. They really go out, and that's because of the sense of community, that power is still there. So if you have, let's say, a good social fabric, then you're strong, and that's just good to see. So when people struggle here, there's always like a community taking care of these people, which is good. Yeah.
I need to have nog one interruption because there is one member, and that is Jerry, and he's the last on my list. So Jerry, welcome. And can you have a short word who you are and what motivates you? Jerry?
Yes.
Ah.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Still voice breaking. I'm not getting.
We can hear you, so the connection from you to us is fine.
I think it's network issue. Hello.
Yes.
Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, actually, I so many times I tried to contact and it is been breaking, so I'm not getting what you are saying.
Okay. Then then looking at the time, I would then go to the next point of the agenda as we go along and your connection is better, then you can introduce yourself. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then first of all, thank you all to have a first short round, and that we have at least faces behind names, and that we have a short insight of the motivation and the path that we are traveling to come to this meeting today. I would like to give the word now back to Teun, he was already telling a lot about this project, but Teun, can you go a little bit through the short history, what the, let's say, enormous work that you have done already, and from the beginning to where we are as per today.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think I already told a little bit in the beginning, before the introductions. So let me go a little bit closer to the microphone. So I started to do this financial system. It was because I'm in construction, and I try to make, let's say, affordable houses for people. But even if you make the most affordable house for a family, let's say in Africa, then still half of the people that live here will not be able to rent that house or to get a mortgage for that house. So that's when I thought, okay, something is really wrong. Another example is, let's say, the war in where was it? Afghanistan. I think that war costed like $14 trillion. With that money, everybody, let's say half of the people in the world, could have a house for free. So when you let's say see that, then you know something is really wrong, because if everybody has a house for free, there is no reason for war, because everybody can then, let's say, take care of themselves, and you know, let's say a lot of you always will have crazy people, but you know, a lot of people that really struggle don't need to struggle anymore. So the system is not there to help anybody, but there is something wrong. So I looked into it, and then you come to the conclusion, okay, that money is being printed by a small group of people out of thin air. Well, that is insane, because it causes inflation, and basically it's like a pyramid scheme that sucks away all wealth from everybody. And mathematically, it will end that this small group will own everything, and the rest of the people have nothing and will be slaves to them, and they can basically do whatever they want, and especially by making things scarce. So that's when I started to experiment with these other ideas, because also cryptocurrencies came, let's say, started to be a thing, and I'm also in programming, so I tried to create some cryptocurrencies that could sort of help people get a sort of social security system in the financial system. But I quickly saw that doesn't work. So then I came to this 1 coin per hour idea. And what was nice, I created that independent on anybody, and it turned out that there were some other initiatives that were similar. I didn't know about them. So you got Circles, Money Libre, and later I saw Gradido. What was also interesting is that this guy, this economist that lived like 100 years, Silvio Gesell, also had some remarks about the current system, why this system sort of creates scarcity and ends in a sort of a monopoly. He already saw that 100 years ago, and gave, let's say, also direction to how a financial system should work. So, and that was sort of 1-to-1 what I also did. The only thing that he didn't solve, which I sort of solved, is that I think the money supply should be, let's say, not permanent, but should be stable. So you should have a money supply that is sort of equal to the amount of people that you have. So per person, the money supply should always be, let's say, one amount of money, and that should be permanent. And I also solved that with the let's say the demurrage system that I put into the 1 coin per hour. And the nice thing, Circles didn't have that, and I think I never understood Money Libre, because I think the documentation of their system is just not clear. So I don't know how it works, which is sort of a shame. So I don't know. I don't have a real opinion about that system, because I don't understand it. And Gradido is sort of a mix. I think it's sort of okay, but when you start mixing it with regular money, then I see big issues. So I'm sort of also a bit doubting about it. But what was nice with Circles is that Circles, they saw my system, and basically 2 months they shut down their system. 2 months, and then 2 months later they also had a demurrage included, and so basically they did the same what I did. But later they started to mix, let's say, fiat currencies with their system. So I think the first step they did was good, but now they're sort of sliding away from what is really good. So then I try to make it, to program it. I try to program it also for phones. And I work together with a guy, a Dutch guy, a very good programmer, extremely good, way better than I am, to make that work. And we couldn't get it to work because the phones, the software on phones is very shielded, very well shielded. We couldn't make it to work. So, and I already thought that it didn't make too much sense to get something in this time to work. So, and I was quite glad that, I don't remember who said it, but the time is right for a new system, but we are not really there. So there is something in the air. So and I think that so a lot of people are waking up now, but most of the people, actually almost nobody, has any clue how to change this system, how to step out of this system. And that was what, yeah, that, and I said it in the beginning also. A year ago, I saw that we are not ready to move to a new system, simply because nobody can imagine how that system looks like. One of the things that I keep saying is that when we leave this system, it means that all the mortgages are gone, all the loans are gone, all the national debt is gone. All these things will be gone in one day if we leave the system, and people just can't imagine what that means. So it's so abstract for most of the people that that it doesn't make sense to say, okay, we have a financial system. You can't buy anything with it, but start using it, and you will see in the future this will lead to this and this. It doesn't work. People can't just imagine it. So the first step we need to do, I think, is to start visualizing what this new economy, how this new world looks like, how it works, what is different to our current world, why we change it like this. And that goes very far. It's not only financial, but it also has to do with art and with culture and with yeah, anything, but also law, how laws will work, and all the other things, that all the information that is lost to humans, like healthcare, proper healthcare. I always say, if I get sick, I go to the mountains to see some old woman in a small village, and because I don't trust anything anymore. So, and people get quite old here, so I trust people way more here. So, and all that knowledge is gone, and that needs to come back, and a lot of people are working on it, which is very good. And I think we should just keep working on that, telling the story, what can be, what we think, what is lost. Just work on it together, and put it in films, put it in plays, put it in songs, wherever you can, in books, articles, but put it out, and keep writing about it, so that this is what we are in now. That is not normal. We want to have something way better, not a little bit better. We want it way better, and I mean 100% better than where we are now. And then it would look like this. We need to tell people, okay, and that is possible, and we need to tell the story why it is possible. And one thing that I sort of prepared for this meeting is that I want to talk about farmers and fishers and hunters, I call them, people that are in the food supply, because these people are under heavy attack at the moment everywhere, not only in Europe but also in India, everywhere, and they are just bought out by money that is printed out of thin air. It's just ridiculous. and they want to put the food supply in the hands of these big multinationals. And I think that it's very important that the people that know how to farm, what it takes to create food for other people, that we have these people on board, because I think those are key. Even if they lost their farm already or their fisher boat already, we need to contact these people and start telling them that and that's my vision. In that new world, everything will be restored. So all the land they had before will go back to them. All the boats that they had before will go back to them, and they will go back into their jobs that they had, because that's what we want. So, and we need to get these people on our side. I think that would be massive if we could achieve that. And then the rest will sort of follow, because this fight, or if it's a fight, it's not a real fight, but if we walk away, that moment, the first thing that you need to take care of is your food supply. So when you are able to do that, and that can be in small villages, that's a possibility. That's why I think Africa is a very good continent, because here everybody can go back to the small villages and get food. But when you step away, the first thing that you need is food. So I think it's important to focus on that group. So and write books about it, write songs about it, and I also I was thinking about creating a game. Let's say just a computer game where you can see like Second Life, where you can sort of where sort of this new world is already mimicked. So where you can see, okay, this is how you pay. This is what it means to have like a wallet with 1 coin per hour. That is ethical money, how the security net works, all these things that you can sort of see it working, instead of trying to implement it in real life, because that doesn't work. I'm strongly believe that it won't work if you do it now. So that is sort of my take on it, and I would love to hear what everybody thinks about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Teun. That's a straightforward vision, and I think that's something that we all need. I would ask one of our audience if there are some comments or new ideas to add.
I think my mic is working now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. Because I had some problems with the mic, but it's finished now. What I want to say is that I thought about abundance, so as you are writing the book. But when there is abundance everywhere, why do you need money then? Because if there is enough for everyone, then you can take it and need no money. It's something I thought about. Can you say something about that?
Yeah.
Suggestion?
Yeah, I totally agree. I see, let's say, this 1 coin per hour system as a transition method. So, because when you have a system like 1 coin per hour, what you will see is that wealth will be redistributed very fast. So the people that are extremely wealthy, they will quite quickly sort of lose quite a big portion of their, let's say, monetary wealth. And people that have very little, they will catch up quite fast. And exactly what you say, so then there will be a situation that everything has been taken care of, because you will own your house very quickly. So there's no mortgages anymore. You also own your car or whatever other stuff that you have, but it will be yours. And so the only thing that you need to take care of is your food. And when you have a system like 1 coin per hour, then money becomes, I always said, like a sort of a thumbs up. It's just like if somebody does something great, let's say some ballet let's say, performance that you can't believe is there, and then you say, okay, very well done, and you get some, let's say, 10 thumbs up. Before I called it 1 coin per hour, I called it likes, because I see money should be more like a like than like something that you should collect and shield from others, just keep for yourself, you know, and then buy a big thing, a big car or a big house to impress others or whatever, you know. That really doesn't make sense. And with likes, that is not really possible. So I think that money, like 1 coin per hour, probably will last for 30 years or something like that, and then can be just phased out, because you will have robots that take care of let's say, food production and all kind of tedious jobs that we don't want to do, and everybody can get their food for free and have their house for free, and the only thing that you sort of want to do is the work that you need to do, because there will still be work, and I think a lot of people will still want to do the jobs that are out there. There will still be people that want to be doctors or nurses or bricklayers or architects or whatever. They will still be there, but they will be respected way more, because also when you really like to do what you do, you probably excel at your job as well. So instead of having people that are forced to do a job that they don't really like, which is sort of is bad to start with. So yeah, that's what I think about it.
May I add something? Okay. We had the film Freelance Society by an Austrian filmmaker, dealing with the effects of a basic income or a common income, not the one the EU and those guys, but the real good one. And they compared the biographies of people that were winning in the lottery, and they showed that the winners, despite they had so much money, they would not have to work anymore. They nearly all worked, and they even worked more or some little less, but they grew. And so if you have enough money, if you are living in abundance, then you want to work. I'm very, very sure about that, because during the last years, I was lucky to have a lot of films and TV screened, and I was living on the royalties from that. And I could do all the things I wanted to do. And I was so much networking, and so I learned so much. It was such an intense time, and I could do what I really liked, and I had enough time. So this was a very interesting experience for me.
Understand. It sounds a little bit to the first layer of the Maslow pyramid. As soon that you can escape from this burden of money and security, then you come to the self-employment. So if you can create this security level, and that's exactly should be the value of this money system, then I think that we are making all massive jumps in exploring ourselves. That's also where I'm convinced of. Teun, can you scroll a little bit down to the agenda I don't see the 8.4. Yeah, exactly. So the reason that we are all together today is basically, and at least that was also my intention, to have a short vision. Now, Teun, you was giving all your rough master plan already in terms of, not in terms of milestones, because nobody has a glass ball, but let's say the rough planning of your vision, and also what is the next step and what are the, let's say, the expectations from the team members in our group?
Yeah. So yeah, for me the what is clear to me is that we need to grow this, let's say, this movement, or how you call it. So my focus is on the, let's say, distribution of the book, finding new groups where we can sort of bring this book into. But I think the book is not enough, because when people read the book, they still don't know what to do. So I'm very happy with a group like this, and it would be very good if we can have, let's say, regular meetings with the group to see if what the progress is. It's very clear for me that I cannot do this alone. I can only meet so many people. I only have so many hours in a day. So I have some other things that I'm doing also to promote the book. I'm working with I'm creating like a blender. It's like 3D design system, which I try to sort of give for free, and by doing so, pointing people to the philosophy why I would do such a thing, and hope to get a new crowd, because for me it's interesting to find new people, not the people that are sort of in the groups that are awake, because it's sort of an in crowd, and I don't see much initiative there actually, and not many new ideas. A lot of people in this awake group, they have their own agendas, they have their own way of making money, and it's very difficult to activate people in general actually. But it seems to me, especially in this group, let's say, of awake people, it's very difficult to get people to push behind a new system. So I also don't know how to break that. So I have, as I said, I'm trying to do this with this 3D work. I know that millions of people are online looking for these 3D objects, and so I can reach these people. Today I get approved to a big platform that I can show my work there. So that's a nice step in the right direction. So this is how I do things. But perhaps we have filmmakers, perhaps we have musicians, where perhaps we have people that are in a farmer community that can sort of also reach out to other groups, because that is the most interesting, I think. How do we reach other people? I see Elisabeth raised her hand, and Belle also. No, Elisabeth raised her hand. So
yes, I do you hear me?
yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, all right. What I want to say is you do not have only to use your fantasy. You can always also look back to old cultures like the Indians, who had yes prosperity philosophies, taking care of the earth and each other. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm motivated for myself from things from how they lived in communities, and also how they took care of the earth and the animals. So I'm very I'm not against eating animals, but I have a very deep voluntarily feeling. So I don't think it is possible, but for a very far future, I have a very, it's a a bit crazy. Fantasy that we can communicate enough with animals to know that they want to be eaten, so that it is voluntarily when we eat an animal. Yes, it's just from Indians motivated, I think, and how I stand in life with animals. So yes, that's the only thing I wanted to say.
Okay, so perhaps we have any other thoughts how we can reach out to other people?
Yes. Well, I don't have, if I may jump in, I don't have new ideas, for sure not. That is, but what I like about the ideas you gave already, that is the game. In the beginning, I was a little skeptical, but I think if the game is just used by younger people, so if we can create a simple, let's say, a simple game that shows the basic of the 1 coin per hour principle, and and the impact on the life, and to trade the goods, then I think that would be a nice kick-off, because games are relatively easy to access to people who don't want to read books and don't want to, let's say, study too much. So I like I like the idea of the game, and then my next point is, then if we start with this first, let's say, project out of the group we have, how can we then support, basically in the financial way, because you cannot do everything yourself, as you told already, Teun. Those things needs to be programmed by people. I'm not a programmer, so I can't help you in that one, but I can definitely support you on the financial point of it, so that you can at least achieve that one goal.
I think there are some other people also that want to say something. Perhaps we'll do that first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it is worth to present the summary of the book and the project in groups, in my networking groups. I will do that, and I think this will help to bring up the discussion to what it really means, because as Teun said, it is hard to imagine how well it can be or can become, because there is no personal experience. We are all fed with the old system, and we are fed with the limits of the system. And I think breaking the limits is something you have to experience. You can't just read it. You have to really experience it. And there is a game is of course a good solution. Also, video can be one. But I think open the mind for the fantasy to really imagine what it means, and how good life can be or become is a very, it's the most important subject and topic in this work, I suggest.
Okay.
Are you thinking then oh, sorry, Teun.
Oh no, yeah. So I saw Sabine also want to say something. So let's just let everybody do a say, and then before I react.
Okay, Teun, I would like to know more about. You wrote the book, or did you have a co-author, or how long did you need to write the book? And do you know how many people read it already? I think it is. I scrolled through the contents a little bit, and I think it is really very interesting, and I really want to read it. maybe I can try to find some more people may want to read it with me and discuss it. I think it is worth to take a little effort, really think it through, not as just, I mean, playing maybe is a little bit too superficial. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Can you say a little bit how you wrote the book? Yes, please. Can you?
Yeah, so I try to. That's also in the book. 5 years ago, I started with a book just to force me to research everything properly. Because when you write a book, you force yourself to do proper research before you say something. I did that, and when that book was ready, I already knew that I made a lot of mistakes because of my own indoctrination. Which I sort of lost then, so I didn't really promote that book, but it was good that I did it. So I understand myself better. And a year ago, I started to write again, like 13 months ago, articles on Substack, and I wrote like 30 articles. And then I thought, okay, let's bind them together in a book. Because it was like different topics that all came together to the same point, and I also invented in one morning I just got the word Abundomy came to mind, and that's when I started to use that word, because I think it sort of covers everything very well. But big parts of the book are sort of copied out of the 30 Substack articles that I wrote. I sort of combined them together, but I wrote the book all by myself, so I didn't get any help there. And I also tried to translate it. I translated it to 12 languages now. I want to do more, but I also need time for that. Somebody is now, a German person, a friend of me, she's now working on checking the German version. So hopefully that will help for all the Germans that are in the podcast today. But I think the book I'm quite happy with the book because it gives me closure. So to me that work is done. So the story is now clear to me. It's in the book, so I don't need to explain it to everybody. On the other hand, I want to offer everybody that wants to, you can always call me, and because I'm always happy to spend, let's say, an hour, 2 hours to just explain what the book is about and why this is going on. So if you really have questions, then just call me, and I'm happy to talk to you. I did that with many people already, and I like to do that. I think it makes a lot of sense because when people really understand what it's about, then they are way better equipped to move further. But it also gives me a good feedback of what is missing or what is not clear. And that is also the feedback that I would like to have in groups like this. But in the group like this, I really want to talk about the next step. So how do we get further? How do we make this reality?
Okay, one more question. Why did you not put your name on the cover? Your name and your email address so that people can contact you?
It's in the book. My name is in the
I
book.
did not find it. I did not find it. Sorry.
It's on the last page. So with a picture of so you can see so it's there. So people can contact me through the book. And there are, let's say, 20 groups on Telegram and WhatsApp where I'm also reachable.
Okay,
so.
yeah. I see it. Okay, sorry, I see it. Yes, sorry. Okay. Yeah. And how many people have given you feedback or read it? Do you know? Do you know?
No, but I created a counter on the website, so now the downloads are counted. Doesn't mean that's because you can still copy the PDF and give it to other people. So and I won't be able to see that. But on the, I think there are about 2,000 people now that have had the book at least that I know, and then but perhaps there are more. And I must say there are some. What I really like, there's like 4 or 5 people that sort of read it in one go. They were so let's say occupied with it, and that's a big compliment, I think. Yeah. Any other questions? I see one hand. I see one hand. Is that Johan?
Oh yes, yeah. I didn't say it before, but I want to compliment you with this book because I see there's a lot of work done for it, and there are many questions raised by reading your book, and it's also well documented. So I think it is very good structure to send it around, and it gives also motivation, I think, to a lot of people. And I see also things that we can do and that can motivate other people, because I wonder if there are already projects that can be addressed to this book, because I am here in Friesland starting an energy company, and we are saying energy is the currency of the future, and we want to make the energy as cheap as possible, and we have the goal of do energy sharing amongst all people who want to contribute to our company. And it's a company led by the consumers themselves. We called it a Frisian Energiebureau. And I think it's a good motivation also for our consumers. I'm thinking of it to distribute this book among them. And besides that, we also have a community here in Friesland that is also thinking about abundance, thinking about create another society, and that community has grown the past year, and there are now, I think, up to 100, 200 actively participants, and we have a crowd behind that about members of who wants to know something about our community. So I'm trying to make the community aware of your book, and I'm if I am allowed to distribute, also I have to talk to some other people that we can distribute your book about 3,000 people here in Friesland and the rest of the Netherlands. Because I hope that we can contribute to the distribution of your book. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, that would be great, So that's basically what I'm also looking for. So to reach out to other communities, and what we even could do is see how your energy, let's say the system that you are thinking about distributing energy, how such a thing would work in, let's say, an Abundomy. So in this new economy, how would people go about energy, which is also sort of the second most important thing. So I think first we need to take care of our food, but we will have there will be quickly a need for energy for farmers to do their job. So how do you get that energy in that? So the transition, so when we transition to another system, so how we go about energy is also a very important question. So it would be great to have somebody like you aboard and help us think about those things. You know?
Yes, exactly. I hope so.
Yeah.
Keep going, we all.
Very good. Any other questions? So it's very quiet.
Now I've got a question. Your proposal was also to do films in order to create access to the vision of the potential of the project. And is it still on your schedule, or how advanced is this plan?
Yeah, so I'm part of my job is 3D design and also animation. So and 3 days ago, I met also a filmmaker, a young guy from Rwanda. I also met a French lady. She is a director of plays. So how you call it? Toneel? I don't know. Schauspieler? Nou, ik weet niet. Maar she organizes the plays. So she's a director of theater.
Yeah.
Theater. And I think it would be great if we can have, but it starts with storytelling. So first we need to have the story. So what is the story that we actually want to tell? And then you can sort of imagine films or theater that goes with it. I also have a friend here that I'm also teaching Blender. He's a musician that did radio plays, so radio shows where, let's say, stories are what people did in, let's say, in the 30s or in the 20s, 100 years ago. And I like to have to work with him because with a person like that we can start thinking about, let's say, doing plays or doing films. If he can do animation, then I have somebody that can help me do that, because it's just a lot of work. Anything is a lot of work. A film is a lot of work. Even one song is a lot of work, so if you want to do something good, it's a lot of work. And to me, it's just finding the people that understand what we're doing and just want to participate. Because people need to do something, I can't do everything by myself. It's just not possible. I'm happy if I can do 2 projects. I would like to do, let's say, 1 film project and this the other, the 3D work that I'm doing. Those are sort of the things that I want to focus on, and perhaps give a little bit direction on this group. That would be great, and that's all I can do. So it would be nice if there are people that are musicians that actually start to make music, and people that are or like to write and never wrote before, that start to write, and just start and begin and see where we get. So don't be afraid. I was also not a writer, and when I started to do my 1 coin per hour, everybody also told me I was crazy. So and I didn't know where it would lead me. So you just need to do it, and don't be afraid. And if you believe you can change something, just do it. Yeah. So Sabine wants to say something.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Teun, can you explain how it works? The 1 coin in 1 hour. Is that right? Can you explain in more detail how that works? I have not yet understood.
Yeah.
Or is it too complicated? Is it
No,
too...
it's not very complicated. I can do that in 5 minutes, but I won't go in too much detail. But how it works is that that you and it can be done, let's say locally. It can be done, but also we can also use the computers of the banks. Let's say if we take over the banks, we could install a program on their computers that provides everybody 1 coin per hour. The difference between, let's say, the traditional system and 1 coin per hour is that in the 1 coin per hour system, everybody gets 1 coin every hour, and that is how money is created. So if you have 8 billion people, then every hour 8 billion coins are created. Now, if you do that, then you would have endless inflation. I think that perhaps now we also have 8 billion coins that are created, but they are all owned by a small group of people, which is ridiculous. But now it's created for everybody. And to balance that, what you do is you have a negative interest, and that is what this guy Silvio Gesell already told the let's say the world 100 years ago. That is how money should work. So if you create money, it should deteriorate like bread. It should like go away. It should reduce in value. Now, what does that mean is that you have a negative interest instead of a positive interest. So you have a negative interest, and that interest rate can be something like 30%. That's what I propose, something around 30 or 35% per year. So if you have 100, if you have 100 coins in the beginning of a year, at the end of the year you have only 70, but you get 1 coin per hour added to it. And when you do that, then and that's a mathematical trick. If you do it like 35%, you will end up with a steady money supply of 20,000 coins per person. So that will be the amount of coins that will be in circulation. So, and because you have 1 coin per hour, that 1 coin per hour is like a safety net. It's like a social security. So if you are a millionaire, then if you have 1 million euros or coins, then at the end of the year you give back, like say 300,000 of these coins, and these coins are the coins that are distributed like 1 coin for everybody per hour. So the negative interest is basically the safety net for everybody to survive, and that way babies and people that are very old, can hardly move anymore, or people that are demented and can't work will also get 1 coin per hour and will have a sort of safety net. So they will have enough coins to have food and to survive. But you still can have a business, and you can still make millions if you want. So that is still possible. So that's why it makes sort of a transition, because it looks quite a bit like the system that we have, but it secures 2 things. So it secures a sort of safety net at one stage, and it makes it impossible that a small group of people will have a monopoly on the money creation, which they have now, which causes all the wars, all the medical nonsense and all the misery that we have at the moment. So that's why that needs to change. So is that enough? I hope.
Yes, I have an idea, but I don't know if I
okay.
I mean, I think if you want to promote a good idea, you need influential people, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just, wie sagt man, einfach mal ein bisschen rumspinnen, also einfach mal verrückte Sachen in die reinwerfen. Könntest du dir vorstellen, dass du dem Elon Musk mal deine Idee vorstellst, zum Beispiel? Einfach, weil der ist sehr einflussreich und ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass der genug spinnert ist, dass man dem sowas mal verklickern könnte.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't believe in these people anymore. So I think that there are enough interesting people, and we still have enough, let's say, chances to distribute something through social media, whether it's like the big tech companies or the alternative technologies that are out there. We still have chances to reach other people, and I think it's better to work with genuine people than with people that are really discutable. Ja, Frans. Ja, eentje per uur van die, zeg maar. 1 per hour of those. Yeah, okay. So perhaps we can start. I think Raul has a question. Sorry, Raul.
No, it's not a question. It's just that I saw in your book that you made some calculations about how much land do we need to become self-sustainable in terms of food.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, but maybe somewhere in the morphogenetic field we thought to the same thing together, because I made the calculation myself maybe 1 year ago, I think. And supposedly, I don't believe that we are 8 billion on this planet. I think it's a lie, but this is different. This is another matter. Let's say we are 8 billion.
I think you're right, by the way.
Yes, and if a person, not a family, a person would need to survive one, maybe you agree with me, maybe not, but you made your own calculations, and I believe you will agree that you can become self-sustainable if you have, for one person, not for one family, 1,000 square meters of fertile land to use.
Something like that, yeah.
That means that for the entire population of the world, a country like Brazil minus 2 Romanians, my country is Romania, minus 500,000 square meters, can feed the present population of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably in the past, as you wrote in your book, that will be 10 billion, 10.8 billion in 2080, probably a little bit more than Brazil. I don't know. Very few.
Exactly.
And this, we are not considering the seafood, what we can take out from the ocean, you know. So this is what I mean. It's another big lie that the planet has not enough resources to feed all the population of the world. It's a big lie. It can feed at least 80 billion now with this resource.
Correct. Yeah.
I just want to make a point. That's why I told you this. And another one, which is important but less known, I found it from a Russian general called Petrov. I found his videos on the net, and I made an outline to his videos because they are very important. The man is very high. You know, there are 3 main types of intelligence, main, and other sub under them. But the main, the principles are IQ, cognitive, emotional, EQ, and spiritual, SQ. And this guy is very high to all these types of intelligence. He made a presentation in 2 videos about the egregores and how we make egregores, a group of people focused on the same topic, create an egregor, an energetic field, which then becomes independent and can make a lot of things in terms of, for example, if it's a good intention, it can make independently good things. It can determine the physical and the matter to do good things or bad things. And the puppeteers of this planet, what they are doing, they know this mechanism. And from all they are doing, the manipulation and control and all this is manipulation in general. They turn us to create because they cannot create. This is another matter. They turn us to create the type of energy they need to feed themselves and to control us further on. So I made an outline of this and I can spread it to our community. I think it's important for each of us to know this mechanism because in the future we will need it to focus, not only to work, but to focus on what we are what we intend to do, and it would be better.
Yeah. By the way, say hi to the professor.
Yes, to Professor Kolchak.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
Yes, this I promised you, Rob saw already, to see the software with the fractal algebra and some projects we did in also in financial. He did something I told you about with the environment coin. He conceived a coin backed up by environment letters,
Okay.
know, or other projects, social, economical, political. And by the way, I'm very, very happy. This is a personal stance that you put Ibrahim Traore in the introduction because he's a model of, I wouldn't say politician, of leader that any country should have in the near future.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
if this happens with the support of the people, then we will free ourselves from the actual matrix.
Yeah.
I'm quite convinced about this.
Yeah.
Especially, yes.
I agree. Yeah, no. So you can also feel it that people are sort of ready for it. But there's not a good plan. So and I think he's on the right track, but he still needs 2 or 3 steps to take. And but if we can make, if we could make a film or something, and he would see this, that could just spark, that just give the spark enough. So
absolutely.
I don't know. We need to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
On the other hand, I wanted to add, sorry, just a little. We made in Romania, we have 44% of the population is still rural. What was a backdraw in the past now becomes an advantage in this period. And the infrastructure is quite good now, it's improving. And I also bought a house, Rob knows it, in the countryside with orchards, 66 trees and 3,000 square meters of land, very good land and so on. But in the past 5-6 years ago, we rented 100 hectares land and we made a community of 55 families or something, which worked quite well for a while. We built a large wooden cabin. We met there, singing guitar, working on the land and stuff. It was very nice, but in the end, it failed because the community was too high. We figured this out. When you do things like that, you need to start with small communities and then to unite them. 15 families, collaborating with other 15 families, but not all together. Not all together, because at a certain point, as good as the people are, some egos and stuff interfere and spoil everything.
I think the transition is very important. So
Yeah.
also to write about that. So what can go wrong when you do that is very important. So all this knowledge we should use. Now, Dianne
We
wants
need
to.
to
Yeah, sorry.
learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Teun, I have a question for Raul. Raul, your community, was it based on the ideas of Anastasia?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Very interesting. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about this. Maybe you've read her books. Actually.
Yes. Actually, I'm in a group building on her ideas and actually trying to implement that in the Netherlands. And for Teun, within that same group, we have the right people for you to contact in this area of rebalancing finance in the vision you wrote down in your book. So I was thinking, what can be my contribution to your program? Well, at first, deliver you some useful contacts to fill in portions of your vision, or to give you some ideas about that, but also for you to gain access to groups that are pretty far in thinking and developing your ideas, but not on the technical side as you are doing, but I don't know how to explain, because I'm not an IT girl and nor a finance girl, but I think they're pretty useful in this phase of your project. For instance, one of them is the author of the book I put in the notes to this in the chat. But there are some others too.
Sorry, what did you say?
In the chat,
yeah.
I typed in a website. It's a website of a certain book. The book I wrote to you about somewhere last.
Het is niet jouw schuld. Yeah, it's not your debt.
Yes, it's now also available in English, and it's pretty interesting. It's a tiny book, and it's written in a style that even a teenager can read it.
Yeah.
And
you know the author? This is
personally, yes.
Yeah, it would be nice to talk to him, I think.
And also the key player in the book, the key character, he passed away a couple of years ago, but we are still in contact with his widow and with the organization they build up. So that might be interesting for you, just to have a chit chat.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah. Irmi.
Yes, I have a question. I didn't read your book yet, and I'd like to know how to generate just money or 1 coin per hour. Will be the still system of text like now, or how generate this money?
No, so the funny thing about money is that what people don't understand, money is just created out of thin air. So 100 years ago, we had like, I think it was $10 trillion worth of money. It was circulating, and now we have $350 trillion worth of money that is circulating. So this $340 trillion is just made out of thin air, and it works because we pay with it, we use it every day. we are told that it should be backed by gold, but that's nonsense because it's backed by nothing. But it still works. So you can just create money. You just create zeros and ones and say this is money. And as long as you can all check that it works, then it works. So we think now that there are governments, let's say, institutes that watch that everything is fair with money, but you can just forget it. It's not fair at all, and it still works. So you can imagine that when we create a system where we can check all the transactions, then that will be also already a massive difference. But also when it's created fairly, that is also a massive difference. So it's very easy to take two very big steps just by creating, by sort of recreating a system which is based on zeros and ones, and that we just we make an appointment with everybody. Okay, we consider this as money, and we just continue with that, and that is all what is needed, and it's proven that works. So there are different instances of people that just invented coins, plastic coins or whatever, and when a community starts working with it, it just works. So that is sort of the basis of it. So I'm just replicating what is already going on, but then in a fair way. And when you do that, then within months, that's what I expect. Let's say the imbalance in wealth will very rapidly come together. So I expect quite a lot of it, because it works completely in the other direction than the system now. The system now is just extracting wealth from everybody, and by just flipping it around, you can bring, let's say, prosperity back to everybody.
And Teun, the question was also, is there any tax system included? I don't think so, but maybe you can answer that.
No, it's so you have like this negative interest, which you can sort of consider as a tax, so because you're losing value, and that is used to, and it is only used to redistribute money. So it's like a constantly rollover system. So every hour you get a coin, but also every hour a portion of your wealth is being taken away from you to be able to give other people also this 1 coin per hour. So and that is it. So there's no more tax. So that is how the security system, let's say your social security system, works. And besides that, you don't need anything. So you don't need to have additional tax on smokeware, on alcohol, or on cars, or on petrol, or anything. It's not needed.
It's important not to be the property not to be taxed. Taxed.
Yeah. So
because it shouldn't not even in this world, in this system, it shouldn't. It's illegal. But this is another.
And I think that there can be sort of tax. So you can, let's say, organize a local government, call it a government, a local leadership that wants to have money for certain projects. But I think that if you propose such a project, that should always be voluntary, on a voluntary base. So you can organize a government, say, okay, we want to build a school. No, just propose make a good proposal to your community, and if your community say, okay, that's a good idea, because people don't need to pay to survive, they can now choose to give their money to good projects. And that can be a school that is organized by a local government, but it can also be a play, or the creation of a film, or paying some good football players to see them play football, whatever you want, but on a voluntary base. And once you do that, then I expect, and that I told that earlier, then in like 30 years, you won't need money at all, because then, what is the point of money? Any other? So, Dianne.
Yes, Teun. When I look at our topics tonight, there are a lot of things we didn't discuss yet. And I don't know about the other participants, but I'm a bit tired and I need to do some other work as well. Would it be possible to schedule another meeting where we have time to go in depth the good topics you brought up?
Yeah, I think so too. So I think 2 hours is already quite long. It shouldn't be longer than 2 hours. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some minutes, and we'll put some, let's say, some projects in there that we sort of that we can distill out of this this first meeting. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, that's excellent. It was also lately in the beginning of the agenda. Of course, I was trying to make a first structure, knowing there is no way that we can discuss all the topics. If you go in the very beginning, I think one page up. Yes, that is also, let's say, the intention is not to complete all the items of the agenda. So yes, Diana, that is absolutely impossible. The only, let's say, I wanted to, let's say, kick off the meeting with a certain structure. Most likely some of the things I mentioned are not even relevant anymore. My proposal is we make a minutes of meeting or a summary out of it, which then will be the kick-off, let's say, or the input for the next meeting.
Yes, brilliant. Yes, please, because it needs the right attention. It's a pretty good agenda when you ask me, and I think each subject needs its time for in-depth discussion. Yes, please.
Absolutely sure, 100% correct. It was a first shot, and maybe it was an overkill. So if we don't need it, we skip it. We take out all the ballast, and let's focus on the things that we as a group want to bring us forward. That's the whole intention. Yes.
And shall we do it, let's say, in 2 weeks again?
Oh yes.
I think 1 week is too much, and 4 weeks seems a bit too little to me.
Maybe in a weekend or Friday evening would be better. I'm fine anytime, but I'm thinking about the others. So
Yeah. I don't know. Fridays is usually a
whatever.
sort of party evening.
Yeah. Okay. True.
So
we are not living in Rwanda.
You're not living in Rwanda, so.
We'll see. We'll see.
I would prefer, let's say, I think the Tuesday is a nice day, and I think that because everybody is here now, let's keep it on the Tuesday, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, now let's stay on the Tuesday, and as we go along and as it's going to develop, we can always debate on that one.
Yeah,
for sure.
If there's some holiday or something, then we can always move it.
Yeah. So how do we continue, Teun? The wrap up? Are we going to do that all of us in the group, or are we sitting together nog a half an hour trying to capture the things we said?
No, I think we're done. 2 hours is enough. Don't want to bother everybody too much. Let's say if anybody wants to talk to me, you can just call me. I have a very flexible agenda, so I almost have always time to talk to people. So if you have some, because if it's about the things that are in the book, if it's about, let's say, how this coin works, if you have some of these specific questions, then perhaps it's easier that I just explain it one-on-one instead of doing things that are in the book again in this group. I would like this group to just focus on projects to sort of expand the book and take it broader instead of explaining what let's say the book is all about itself, just to make it more efficient. Okay.
Yes.
I sent the videos, the 2 videos about egregors on the Telegram group and also my outline.
Okay.
Because it from there it can be understandable, more understandable. There are only almost drawings, so it's very easy to images.
In which Telegram group? The English or which one?
I think
it's one coin group on Telegram.
One coin, okay.
Johan just joined. I saw him and I already wrote to him about this on Telegram.
Yeah, I would like to focus on the Abundomy group. So I think because the one I see 1 coin per hour as just a portion, just a small portion of what we try to achieve here. What we try to achieve here, to me, is how can we make people see that society as we live in is not normal, and how can we go to a society that is way better and way more, let's say, more fair and makes a lot more sense. So that is let's say the Abundomy book. So how do we go to a world of abundance? So that would be my focus, and that's why I'll try to communicate in these Abundomy groups instead of in the 1 coin per hour groups. The 1 coin per hour is more like a technical group where we explain how this thing technical works. But if we talk about society and let's say expanding our group, I would like to do this in the Abundomy groups. Okay.
So we meet again in 2 weeks, Tuesday evening, same time.
Yeah. And please, everybody, think about, try to get ideas. What we can do. You can communicate it with me or with Rob. We can put it in the minutes as an agenda point, or call me or whatever. But try to work on it instead of just waiting for 2 weeks and then repeating the same thing over again. What I see happening in a lot of other groups.
I think that's a normal.
Yeah.
No, it should not be.
Yeah.
Boring normal.
But that's I like. I'm always trying to get pushing and get different things going, and it's just frustrating. I think Rob also suffers from this. It's very difficult to get people going. It's really difficult. So, and it would be great to get into a position where we have, let's say, where the growth is like autonomous, where you don't need to push before you see something happen. That would be a very nice state, so that if the book, for example, is being downloaded without us pushing for anything, and that it goes by itself, that would be a great moment. I think we're almost there, but it's not there yet.
Teun, how many downloads are there at the moment?
I think we are now at about, I think there will be about 2,000 or between 1,500 and 2,000 downloads, I think we have.
Okay, then I'll push it a bit further.
Yeah, it's not much, so it should be way more, but it's very difficult. Even if
no, always in the start.
Yeah.
And at some point it starts rolling.
Yeah. I also believe that.
Right.
There is one remark I want to make. Sabine was posting February 3rd. That's okay. You are supposing 7 o'clock. Is that better than 7:30? I was just starting with 7:30. If we can move it to 7 o'clock, it's also fine for me.
Yeah, it's better for me even because it's an hour, and also for you, Rob, because we live an hour later than the Dutch people.
Here it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, in my case, I will be joining 2 Zooms together, actively in this one. But I need to keep an eye on the other one because I skipped that one tonight. That's one I have every Tuesday evening.
Okay.
See how that works.
Yeah, okay. 7 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I think it was very nice to see all of you. And I think it's already above my expectation. I thought perhaps like 7, 8 people, but I think this is already quite amazing. So thank you all.
Welcome. Interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you so
welcome.
much, then.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining.
Good evening.
Thank you, Teun, Rob. Thank you, everybody.
You. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.